All right. Good morning to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning also to those of you on the West Coast. Welcome to This Week in Pop Culture, the show in which we give you the goings on in the past said week in the world of pop culture, whether we're talking about local news, film and TV news, tech news, sports news, and the like. We try to bring you up to speed so that way you are not left in the wind. Um, as always, I'm not going to be alone in talking about the said topics for this past said week. So without further ado, I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Spielman Trueheart, aka Spills. What's going on, sir?
You see that, ladies and gentlemen? I have my third eye attuned to the future. I read the future. My name is Spilstradamus. I was out there to say it was going to be a sweep, a full sweep, but they got the job done in five. I say it was a gentleman's sweep. The Spurs had a little bit of heart. They fought back in game three, but I feel vindicated.
I hear you. I hear you. And I didn't introduce myself. I apologize, but I want to give my co-host the floor. I'm also your host, also co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited, Brandon Troy. Thrown a little out of whack because, as you can see, I'm not in the normal digs that you're normally accustomed to seeing me at. I'm live here at the Warp Tour, which you probably see in the background with the promo that we have. If you're not familiar with the Warp Tour, they have it in a couple of cities, DC being one of them. Started back in 1995, and you have an incredible roster of bands that we have here. Whether we're talking about American Hi-Fi, Grandson, Hoobastank, Gym Class Heroes, Jimmy Eat World, Third Eye Blind, and that's just to name a few, folks. I mean, incredible lineup of bands that are here. But that's not what we're here to talk about. But I wanted to, tease that and give a plug for that since I'm on site now doing that. And I give a shout out also. I want to give a shout out to my boy Clep, Keith over at Critics, partnering with him, with this said show. So giving a shout out to him for, reaching out and helping him out with this show, but we're also going to be doing a couple of things here as well. So be on the lookout for that in both regards. But with that, a lot of things that happened this past week. As you see in the title, we did have a champion that was crowned last night. So we're going to dive into some of that. But we also have some film and TV news to dive into as well. So Spills, without further ado, shall we dive in?
Let's dive in.
All right. Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to start first with our film and TV news. As just a couple of days ago, we did have some word of a highly anticipated blockbuster, that being the second Batman film by Mr. Matt Reeves, that is now in production, as the director actually posted on his Instagram, which you can see here, of the first day of shooting, of production starting. So, of course, we want to have a lot of the usual suspects. We will have Robert Pattinson, as Spills likes to use as the hashtag Twilight Batman. I know he
Twilight
loves his
Batman,
favorite
ladies and gentlemen.
But yes, we're going to have Robert Pattinson. We're also going to have Colin Farrell back as the Penguin. But we will also have Winter Soldier himself, Sebastian Stan, coming in as Two-Face. So we do have a lot of different components that are in play with this upcoming sequel. So Spills, I have to ask you: are you excited about this Batman sequel and perhaps having another 3-hour Batman film?
Ladies and gentlemen, as Brandon alluded to, I am an incredible fan of Twilight Batman. I'm excited to see his new adventures. We might even see Bella. Who knows? But I'm really excited for this new film. I'm interested to see what they do with Sebastian Shaw as Two Face. He's kind of big for a guy to have gone through law school. I don't usually see lawyers with the
Stan.
shoulders. I'm sorry, Sebastian Span. Yes, but shoulders for days. I think he'll be a great Harvey Dent, but I'm interested to see what they do with him. He's now Harvey Dent #3, so that's pretty interesting to me. Um, I'm guessing this will be out in 2027 for the summer, I imagine. But we're all excited to see it. What are your thoughts on this new Twilight Batman movie?
Twilight Batman aside, I am definitely excited, for this film. The first film allowed us to tackle a component of Batman that I feel is not tackled enough, which is the fact that he is an incredible detective. And I did like that approach that they had with that first film, of that approach that they had of kind of diving into that component of that skill set that he has as a character. Because I know it's quote unquote very sexy to get into like the action stuff and to get into the super villains. And don't get me wrong, Batman has an incredible roster of super villains. He has an incredible rogues gallery. But be that as it may, it's hard to believe that after all of these years of having a cinematic Batman, 35 plus years, on nearly in a couple of years it'll be 40 years, that we haven't really dived enough into that component that he is quote unquote the world's greatest detective. So even though the film was 3 hours, it's a testament to Matt Reeves that it's paced quite well, and that you are buying into that story and you are honed into that story despite the fact that it is 3 hours. There are a lot of films where they're an hour and a half and they do not feel like an hour and a half. They feel like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And then you have other films where the 2.5 hours fly by, the 3 hours fly by, because there's enough there. There's enough meat on the bone there for you to be able to enjoy and to be able to sink your teeth into. And to be able to add Sebastian Stan, someone who is an incredible actor and is terrific in terms of playing villainous characters, but also providing some nuance to those villainous characters. I'm very intrigued to see what he's going to do with Two-Face. We have had some iterations, which, Spills, you've already alluded to when it comes to Two-Face. So I will be interested to see how that's going to all play out with this new iteration. So, yeah, definitely excited about the new Batman film. And yes, and answering your question, it is coming out next year. If memory serves, I want to say that it comes out in October of next year. So we do have a little bit of time. It doesn't look like it's going to be a summer release. It looks like it's going to be similar to what they did, if memory serves, before. If memory serves, before they actually had it as a fall release. So it's going to be a late fall release. So it looks like October of next year. But
That's
any
incredible.
last thoughts, Bills, before we move on?
Just I'm just interested to see what they do with it. Do they bring Zoe Kravitz back? You know, what would happen with that Riddler character? Because he was like teased to be like, ooh, he's gonna get it. So, are we getting a second version of Batman Returns? Because that's Two-Face and that's Riddler as the villains from that movie too. So that's very interesting.
For sure. Let me see. There we go. For sure. So let me know in the comments, or say, folks, let us know in the comments. Are you guys excited about Batman Part 2 and the new additions, the new pieces that we have for this upcoming film? It's always great to see that a film is in production, because so oftentimes we do see that, it's in pre-production, like, they're still trying to wrangle all the actors. They're still trying to confirm whether the actor is in it. It's definitive now. We know that it's happening. So it's always great to, see a production's finally, getting started. So, but with that, we're going to switch gears to sports. So again, as I said, super excited about Batman Part 2, but let us know if you guys are excited about that said film starting production. Now, Spills, I want to get into the Knicks. I'm going to give me an opportunity to give you the floor. The Knicks are our NBA champs. They solidified being able, I should say, they sealed the deal last night in a close win against the Spurs. As I told you, as we've been going through this postseason, especially with the conference finals and the finals, I'll tip my hat, sir, because it was not on my bingo card that the Knicks were going to get past the Spurs. I'm not going to lie to you. On paper, it did seem like the Spurs were too much of a juggernaut for the Knicks to overcome. But again, alluding to what I was mentioning before about the Spurs this year, Spurs kind of reminded me, giving me some deja vu of that KD Thunder team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it was talent that came into play with this said title. I want to say it was youth and experience.
Yep.
So, what are your
I
thoughts?
was, I'm just, basketball is a game that you have to have experience to win at a high level. I think that oftentimes because it's such a youth obsessed sport, everybody's looking at, Wembanyama's a perfect example of the youth obsession. We all want the next best shiny thing. So we want a guy that's 7'5" shooting threes. He went 1 for 6 last night, which was a bad thing in a closeout game. We needed more than just 1 for 6. Um, obviously everybody's looking at De'Aaron Fox. He's everybody's looking at him like, what kind of point guard are you? You don't dribble the ball out. Game 4, terrible to go back to that. But the Knicks just play the game right. They've been playing together for years. The fact they made it to the finals, I thought that it was a done deal. The Nova Knicks, as they're calling them, it's just been incredible. Carl Anthony Towns being a big man. One thing that has been true I think a lot of people didn't think about this, but one thing that has been true in Wemby's career is experienced big men have been giving him headaches for years. Embiid put 70 on his head a year or so ago. Just people because of experience, just like at anybody's job. If you are a second year employee and you're in a head-to-head match with somebody who's been with the job for 14, 15 years, that 14, 15-year person is going to run circles around you. That's just the nature of the beast. So, um, great to see the New York faithful. What surprised you most about the performance of the Knicks? Were you surprised that the guards weren't able to really keep up with Brunson, or what were your
I
thoughts
would
of it?
say, yeah. No, that was a major thing. 'Cause I think we had this conversation where, as talented as Wemby is, he isn't a big guy, and
Mm-mm.
I knew that the Knicks had enough bodies to kind of make things interesting and difficult for Wemby. So I thought that was going to kind of balance itself out. I didn't think that it was going to be really a matchup issue there, because I felt there were enough bodies that they could throw at Wemby to give him issues. But in terms of the size and the tenacity that you have with Harper, with Castle, with Fox, I thought that they were going to give Brunson issues, because we've seen prior in other instances where Brunson's, when it comes to defending against larger guards, obviously, it's something that he has difficulty with. He's not necessarily a player that's known for his defense. He's more of a, offensive juggernaut versus, a defensive force. But because you have pieces surrounding him, a lot of times that shortcoming gets hidden among, as you were mentioning, all the other pieces that they have of folks that can play defense. Um, and it's not to say that he can't defend. It's just just by nature of the physical tools that he has, that sometimes when we're dealing with guards that have size and length, they give him issues. So yeah, I thought that was going to be the deciding factor, and it was a deciding factor. It just wasn't a deciding factor in the direction that I anticipated it would be. So, but I think it's also, like I said, going back to experience. I feel like One thing that I will give Brunson a lot of credit for, he's one of those players where he's not going to be more athletic than you. He's going to utilize angles. He's going to utilize, different things that, folks don't really utilize in terms of fundamentals to be able to outwork you. And, to his credit, he's been doing it time and time again. One thing that I will say that will be interesting going forward, because whenever we have a champion, right, we always have other teams that try to respond in kind to the formula that said team utilized to win. I don't think enough attention is being paid to the fact that Brunson had two teammates with him that have won with him before at another level. So it will be interesting to see going forward, at least going into next year, that we'll have, another team trying to utilize that same strategy by having, some draft picks that perhaps have played together, which we don't normally see, but they may make an effort to do that, or maybe bringing in free agents for some of their franchise players that have played with those said free agents before at another level. Because, like I said, a lot of times in response to things, if you have, say, if the Spurs won and you had a player like Wemby, we would see a lot of teams become very front heavy in terms of their front court to be able to contend against Wemby. But now that the Knicks have already demonstrated a strategy to be able to deal with Wemby, I think the big thing is thinking of those additional strategies formula wise to have someone to compete against the Knicks, having players that have played together for quite a while. So maybe, we may not see that trend of a lot of teams breaking up because they want to ensure that the teams have that chemistry. Or, like I said, they may pull in free agents to play with players franchise players that they have won together before. Whether it means they won another NBA championship before, or whether they have won, at the collegiate level before. So I think that's going to be the real interesting thing. Another thing that and I'll give a shout out to Ray and everybody, because I went on their podcast yesterday. It's always interesting to see how a champion responds after they've won the championship the year before, and seeing how they deal with that reality of having a target on their back for the entire season. I feel like the Knicks, even though they have been a great team, I don't feel like they've had as big of a target on their back as, say, the Thunder or the Spurs, teams that have already been christened as the team to be able to win it all. So it will be interesting to see how they respond and how they deal with that going into next season.
Um, those are interesting points. I think that people will tool up to face the Knicks. I do wonder though, because of the youth of the Spurs, and those guys are going to be signed for the rest of the 20s. If we're being honest, they're probably going to sign those guys through the 20s unless something crazy happens. Um, I think teams are going to have to do what the Knicks did and have two big bodies again. It's going to be like the responses to Shaq. Like, sure, Michael Jordan won a lot of championships in the 90s, and people tried to tool towards him, but people really were trying to tool towards Shaq because of his youth and the way that he's not going to be in the league much longer. He's going to be in the league for much longer than the winning team. So, I think that the Knicks are a great team. I think that they'll fizzle out in the second round next year. I don't see them repeating. Um, they are playing together, so that's a great thing. But most of these teams have been playing together for a long time. The Celtics played together for like 8 years before they won a chip. All these other guys. I think that you know there is going to be a different champion next year. I wonder if the Spurs take this in on the chin. Generally, younger players, like you look at history, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron, Shaq, they didn't go back to the championship after that next year. Just like Kevin Durant, you speak of that guy, he didn't go to the championship the next year. They had to reconfigure their teams and possibly move to get back to that point. So I'll be interested to see what Wimby does. We may have a completely different champion. Um, I do wonder if this has been a validation of both of our franchises. My franchise and showing that it's not well, my goat, really not my franchise, but my goat, showing that coming back from 3-1 is not an easy thing. Like the Spurs were up for like 75% of the time, still lost. Um, and that you can't live and die by the three like that Warriors team did. Like the Warriors team, they had exceptional shooters pretty much at every position, and they could shoot the lights out. The Spurs, they shot 34% from three. That was terrible. Part of the reason why they lost was because they kept shooting so many threes. So I think that this is just a testament to both of our leanings, mine being LeBron James, but yours being the Warriors, being an all-time great team, and being able to shoot that way. I think it's very interesting that the Spurs, having the biggest player on the court, did not just go to him every time. I don't understand why they refuse to do that. I get that that may not be the prettiest basketball to see.
Don't even think it's that. To be honest with you, I don't even think it's that. I think it's more so because they did go to him, but I feel like hopefully Wemby has learned his lesson that he can't rely. Don't get me wrong, he can shoot threes, but you can't rely upon them. I think that's going to be the big takeaway where there's no reason with the size that you have that you should not be taking it, to the basket more often. Like there were a lot of times where I feel like he had relied too much on his jump shot than trying to be a back to the basket big. There was no reason why he shouldn't have utilized or did that more than what he did. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be opportunities where you'll be able to shoot from the outside, but in terms of the ratio of shot attempts that you have, considering your size, there's no reason why you shouldn't be taking it to the basket more. Um, so another thing that I did also comment on in terms of the response that a lot of teams have. I don't know how you feel about this. I have a feeling that the Spurs, as currently constructed, will not remain as they are. I feel like Castle may get moved to another team, but maybe you feel differently. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I just can't see how the roster as it's currently constructed will stay the same. I feel like in response to what happened, they may make a minor change and move someone. And if they were to move someone, I don't think that they're going to move Fox. I don't believe they're going to move Harper because he's still just starting with the Spurs. So I would feel like the candidate right now would be Castle because I feel like they
I would
would be able to
disagree with
get.
that. They don't really do that. The Spurs don't really trade players that they develop within. They may sign people, but I can't think of the last time they traded somebody. Like the last time they traded somebody out who was a player, but they obviously signed him. That I could think of is Dennis Rodman. Every other major person that they've had, especially on a rookie deal, I don't think that that's good
Even
business.
with the saga that was Kawhi Leonard, that was a saga. But they
No, he
traded him.
requested out. He
They
requested out.
who?
That I don't.
Oh,
He
that's
wasn't gonna
right.
play
That's
for
right.
them. He wasn't
I
gonna play for
stand
them no more.
corrected.
That's
Yeah,
not the same thing.
yeah. I
He
stand
asked to be
corrected. I
out.
stand corrected. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that with the way that the Spurs organization runs, I've watched them for many years. They don't just be trading people. They're not us. We would trade somebody like that. We would be like, all right, look, we'll try to get because what they need is a dynamic slasher slash wing forward. They need a forward. They got enough guards and Fox, like you said, they not gonna be able to trade Fox. Don't nobody want Fox. Fox really showed in his finals why that Kings team wasn't better. Um, you know, there are questions about, if he be, doing certain kind of transactions. So, that's what I'm hearing on the internet. I don't know if that's true, but I,
I
maybe they
wouldn't even,
trade
I would
Castle.
say I wouldn't even say that about Fox. I would say I wouldn't even say that about Fox. I think it's just more so where he is in his career and how many years that a franchise believes that they would be able to have with that said player. And I feel like in terms of the upside and how many more productive years they have in their career, I feel like Castle is the leading candidate over Fox, who's older, and over Harper, who they're not going to get rid of with him being so young. So
Yeah, I can understand that, but I just think that the numbers don't work. I think that maybe they'd be able to get rid of Fox next year, like the following season, 27, 28. But they got to pay him $200 million. Nobody's going to want to pay him $200 million to lose playoff games. Um, I just don't see that coming. So maybe they would move Castle, but they're kind of stuck where they are with the team that they have. But really, I think it's Wimby has to be better. Like I don't think that we really Shaq often talks about his first finals. He had 22 and 11 in the finals, but that ain't good enough. I really don't think that he's too far gone, but they're very close to what they need.
yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. So I don't know about you guys out there. Maybe you guys foresaw this in terms of the Knicks being right there when it was all said and done. I know it wasn't me. Again, I'll give a shout out to Spills. He was the one who called it and said so. But yeah, incredible finals. Uh, it was an entertaining finals, considering the what the Knicks were capable of doing, of being able to get past a number of deficits that they've had this past season. We had Game 4 where they had a historic comeback in that set win, bringing the series lead 3-1, and then of course just last night sealing the deal in San Antonio. So congratulations to the Knicks. And as I said, this is going to be an interesting postseason, because it's always interesting to see how the league reacts to the said crowned NBA champion, to be able to match up with them. And then also we have some other storylines, some other story arcs with some other players that we may see in terms of player movement, including your GOAT, Mr. Spills.
I didn't think that.
So,
I heard that
but that's
they were
gonna
going
do
to
it
ask for the max. We could talk about that a little bit. Just we got a short show. We can talk about it a little bit. I did see on the internet that
Yeah,
they said
real
that
quick.
the Lakers are looking. The Nets are looking to sign Austin Reeves for like two hundred
I
twenty
saw that.
million dollars.
I saw it.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of money to say no to, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of money to say no to.
it is. It is. And then also your GOAT doesn't want to be an option 4 or option 3. So like even if they get rid of Reeves, I still don't know if he's going to stay with your Lakers. So
I heard they keep saying that he's gonna sign with y'all. I don't see that. His wife is pregnant with their fourth child. I don't think that they're gonna move during a pregnancy to a whole new town. They're rich. They
I,
could pick
that
their
would
doctors
that
and stuff.
I was going to say that would be incredible though, because I know we've had so much fun of being on the opposite sides. And then, if
Yeah,
that were to happen, we would
we'd
technically
have
be on
to
the
do
same
the fusion
side.
dance. I'd be so
We would have
upset,
to
man.
assemble.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I'm so happy. But I wouldn't stop being a Lakers fan, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a Braun fan, so I will root for Braun, but I'm gonna still be a Lakers fan. He'll be an op then. So I call him old and talk about how he never won in the finals. So
Wow, wow, wow. But all right, yeah, for sure. But that's gonna do it You know, as Spill said, it's going to be a shorter show. That's going to do it for us here at This Week in Pop Culture. I'm going to punt it over to you, Spills. Can you tell folks where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Truly Spill. I'm still Spill Stradamus. I don't gamble though. I don't gamble. That's how I can make sound decisions because I don't be looking at the money lines. I look at like the emotional lines. So back to you, Brandon.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on X, and then Brandon Choi underscore ENT on Instagram. Um, as I said, still at the tour as it stands now, but yeah, till next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace, peace.